International law is often described as a set of rules that stands above politics. But in reality, it survives only because states agree to behave as if it matters. That is why moments like the arrest of Nicolás Maduro are so revealing, not because they prove anything once and for all, but because they expose a tension that has been quietly growing for years. A tension between domestic legitimacy and international protection. This is not just about one leader. It is about how the system decides who deserves legal shields and who does not. Here is the uncomfortable contradiction at the center of the debate. Many authoritarian regimes violate their own internal legal order to stay in power. They manipulate elections, suppress opposition, and weaponize courts. Domestically, their authority is often legally broken. Yet internationally, those same regimes demand the full benefits of the system: sovereignty, non-interference, diplomatic protection, and even personal immunities for their leaders. In simple terms, they break the law at home, then insist the world must follow the law abroad. For a long time, this contradiction was tolerated. International law traditionally cared less about how power was obtained and more about stability. Who controls territory? Who commands the security forces? Who can sign agreements and keep borders quiet? Recognition was pragmatic, not moral. That approach kept the system predictable, even if it was uncomfortable. The modern world changed the equation. Domestic law and international law are no longer separate spheres. A regime that destroys legality at home still needs the international system to function. Banks, trade routes, insurance, air travel, energy markets, technology, and currency access. Once a regime depends on that system, its internal legitimacy stops being a purely internal issue. Because the outside world is not just observing, it is transacting. This is why the arrest of Maduro matters. It did not just raise the question, was this legal? It raised a sharper one. If a leader gains and maintains power illegally at home, should international law treat them the same way? This is where two instincts collide. One instinct says, international law is about states, not morals. Control equals recognition. Another instinct says, if legitimacy matters internally, it must matter externally as well. The Maduro case sits exactly at that collision point. The United States has long treated Maduro not as a legitimate democratic president, but as someone accused of large-scale criminal activity. That framing is important, because once transnational crime is described in security terms, the conversation moves away from diplomacy. It becomes about threat, harm, and response. And that shift changes how international law is applied. But this is where the danger begins. International law was built to reduce unilateral enforcement across borders. Its core principle is simple. States cannot freely apply their laws inside other sovereign states. If they do, the system becomes unstable, because every major power can justify almost anything. So the question is not just about Maduro. The question is whether illegitimacy is becoming a license for unilateral capture and punishment. Yet the opposite extreme is also unstable. If international law fully protects leaders who destroy domestic legality, it becomes an insurance policy for criminal governance. The signal becomes clear. Steal elections, dismantle institutions, and once you control the state, the world must be careful with you. That outcome is morally troubling and strategically dangerous. The real debate is not about one man. It is about separating two questions that are often collapsed into one. First, is a regime legitimate? Second, is a leader personally immune from foreign criminal jurisdiction? These questions overlap, but they are not identical. Confusing them creates either chaos or impunity. We are entering a phase where recognition is no longer just a diplomatic courtesy. It is becoming a form of power. International law is being tested against regimes that break domestic law but still demand international protection. The arrest of Maduro did not create this problem. It revealed it. The real question is not whether this was an exception. The real question is whether the system is quietly rewriting the boundary between criminality and sovereignty, and whether that boundary will still be visible once the change is complete. QuietState exists to notice that shift before it becomes normal.